MUFON is the largest grassroots scientific-based organization doing UFO investigations in the world today. We're hoping to find something new, but at the time we weren't. We were finding exactly the same thing until we came across one special case. This man claimed that he had been able to stop the experience while it was happening. Of all the research we had read, never had we read where anybody could stop an experience. But yet, I had an experiencer that said it could. It had happened to him. I contacted some of the top researchers in this country, told them a little bit about the case, first thing out of their mouths. Can we go off the record? Off the record means I can tell you what they said, but I can't tell you who said it. These guys shared with me that they too had come across cases like this. But yet you're telling me you also have come across people who have been able to stop this experience and in that manner? And they said, yes, we have. Well, my next question is how come you don't share this? Why isn't this being shared? If you have documented cases like the one I just came across, why isn't this being shared? One of two answers, or both answers, came out of each of the researchers' mouths that I talked to, off the record. First thing out of their mouth was, we really didn't know what to make of it. I'm fine with that. I didn't know what to make of it. But the problem was when they brought up the second answer. We really didn't want to go there because it might affect our credibility in the realm. You understand what I just said? They have information that we rely on, their research, their sharing of information, for answers. But they're sitting on it. You know, all through this UFO field, you hear about government cover-up this, government cover-up that. What I just found here was we got a cover-up amongst the researchers themselves that people are relying on for the truth. If you're telling me there's more cases out there like that, I'm going to go find them, and I'm going to document this and find out how many there were. How big is this? And you know what they all said? Please do, because we can't. Over the next 10 years, up till now, I have worked with over 400 abduction experience cases, all matching that first experience. That they've been able to stop the experience by calling out in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. I did not ask to do this research. I did not ask for this piece of the puzzle. This happened to be the one I was dealt. I had no idea it would get this big. There's three questions that the top researchers in the world are still asking. Well, one question, but there's three answers to it. That question is, why does this happen to these people? What we found working with these experiencers is a commonality, an answer to that question. Why does it happen to certain people? A, you asked for it. Are you kidding me? People ask for this? You would be amazed. We've stood there in the vendor area with our tables at the Roswell Convention Center. People come up to the table and say, man, I'd really like to have that happen to me. I'm going, please be careful what you ask for. B, some people unknowingly open a door to the experience, and the commonality there was involvement in the New Age metaphysical realm or the occult realm. We saw it over and over and over and over. When you engage in unknown things outside of God, the creator of His Word, you make yourself vulnerable to these entities. We have the documentation to show this over and over and over. We found this reason to be the most often found root cause. But there was a problem that we still couldn't answer for some people for a while. We finally put it together. We had adults coming to us telling us their stories, and they said, you know, I've had this experience since I was a little child, 4 or 5 years old. Well, how does a 4 or 5-year-old open doors to things that they shouldn't do, you know? They're not dabbling in the occult. They're not dabbling in New Age practices. What we found is you are part of a generational cycle or generational curse. When asked about the experiencer's parents or early family life, we found that the opening had come from one or more of the parents. It is important how you raise your children. When there is a godly covering over the family by the head of the household, the family is protected. But if there is no godly covering, the family is open to these type of supernatural experiences. I had the opportunity to be a director of the 2008 Roswell UFO Conference. I brought some of the top researchers in the world to that conference. Almost every single one of them had come to the conclusion that this was an interdimensional entity, no longer an EBE. extraterrestrial biological entity. It's taken 40 years for them to get to that point, but they all were backing up what my research is showing before I ever had a chance to talk at that conference. Again, I didn't ask for this. I was a UFO investigator. I just saw all I wanted to be. I got dealt this piece of the puzzle, and I had to run with it. Over 400 cases we've worked with. I'm still having them come in on a regular basis. One of the researchers said, you know, if only one of his cases is real, we have got to look at this. I got 400 real ones. I got 80 you can read on the website. This is not what Hollywood's given you. This is not what television's given you. We are probably the most hated people in the UFO realm because we're not pushing an agenda. All we're doing is sharing research that goes against their agenda. We're respected, but they don't like us being there. This is evidence you cannot refute, and that's what burns them. It's one thing to stand up here like Guy was talking and say, he's off the wall, he's a fanatic. I'm MUFON, belong to the largest UFO organization in the world. They know what I'm doing. They know about the research I have. They don't like it either, but they have to deal with it because I took their methodology to document it, and they have to respect that. There seems to be a definite spiritual connection to this phenomenon. What is that spiritual connection? Looking at it from it's leading to a Christian perspective. I didn't ask for that. I wasn't a Christian. I was a secular agnostic UFO researcher that had this dumped in my lap. But we must look at this from the Christian perspective because that seems to be where it's leading.